With MTV consolidating down, does this present itself with another buying opportunity? Guys, as we get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap that bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With that said, let's dive into some technical analysis on MultiVAC to see exactly what is going on and what might happen next here with MTV. Right, we're going to start things off just with this daily chart, guys. Really taking a look at what's going on with this huge impulse to the upside, and obviously what potentially is on the horizon now as we think and continue for a push to the upside. Obviously, when it comes to price discovery, there are only two things that really are considered. One is the supply and the other is demand. With supply and demand, you can pretty much anticipate whether the price is going to push up or push down. And after the 3 billion staking had been achieved, we are obviously now looking at a 4 billion staking requirement, which basically could see MultiVAC with that huge squeeze on the supply, and when that demand does come in, I think we're going to see a huge push to the upside for MultiVAC. So let's take a look at what's going on here. Now, ultimately, if I actually come down to our impulse waves, we can see that we actually have this huge impulse wave just here, right? Before potentially coming down to a wave 2, up for a wave 3, down for a wave 4, and up to a wave 5, right? Something that we could potentially see taking us up towards that 30-cent target, maybe even higher than that. Now, obviously, this is an interesting move, but it comes as a part of a much bigger play, which would be that ultimately we had an impulse wave here, we had the consolidation, and now we have another impulse wave to the upside, which actually would put this as the fourth wave correction ahead of the fifth wave. Okay, so actual, it should look something like this. Obviously, here was our downward trend, and then we got this huge spike to the upside. We come down for wave 2. We then go up for wave 3, and we come down for wave 4, and we go up to wave 5. Now, obviously, wave 3 would have to technically be higher, because wave 4 low would obviously have to be higher than wave 1, right? So lots of things to consider with that. But actually, what I'm seeing inside the data here is something slightly different. Obviously, we have the impulse wave to the upside, which is relatively clear, as in we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 impulse waves to the upside. Okay, those 5 impulse waves to the upside are followed up with an ABC correction to the downside. Okay, and that ABC correction to the downside comes in with, let me just find it right here. Where are you? Yeah, right here. So A, B, and then C, right? So we can see how basically we're able to kind of have that quick ABC correction. Okay, and then from here we end up with something quite interesting. We had the pullback to the downside, we had that impulsive fifth wave to the upside there, and then potentially we are starting a triangular pattern. Now, we take it from the high, we have our A, we go up for a B, we come down for this C here, looking to push up for a D, which we haven't seen just yet. So I'll pop that here, and then back down for an E, which actually might then just rest on our buy zone. Okay, and this potential pattern, yet to completely play out, could see us with this triangle just here. If I actually grab hold of it, we're here. Now, it's not a neat triangle in the sense that of how it looks here, right? But if we actually expand this up and we pull this down, what actually do we have going on? Well, each of these actually has an ABC, and we grab that. So we obviously have our A, B, C that we've just spoken about with our correction wave. And then obviously as we push up again, we are looking for an ABC. So we obviously have our A coming back up to here, a B and our C. We then come down to the downside. We have our A, B, and C. Or actually, it's a bigger move than that. It's actually down here, our A, B, and C. And then obviously as we continue, we can see that we are with an A, a B. The next leg should be a push to the upside for a C. And then the last kind of leg to the downside, again, just consolidating a little bit more, an ABC, which would then allow us to have a huge spike to the upside overall. So if I grab hold of, where is it? Let me find arrow, basically a huge spike to the upside to break that pattern. Now, if this actually comes to fruition and we start to actually have that huge kind of push to the upside, what should we expect next? Well, in the next kind of 24 to 48 hours, we should expect a push to the upside to complete our D pattern and complete C to the upside. With that being done, after that push to the upside, our kind of week-long or 2-week-long target would be to pull back down to 1.5 cent. Last moment for consolidation, last opportunity to buy within our buy zone, which is this yellow box area just here. And then from there, what you're looking for is a huge push to the upside. And that push to the upside could potentially take us to new all-time highs at 4.5 cent, or basically anything, in fact, above our area of 2.8. Okay, much higher than the previous high that we had set way back, if I actually get the date range on that, the 10th of April 2019. All right, so we can see that there are some pretty significant kind of pushes to the upside that could basically take us to these really interesting points. Okay, so overall for MultiVAC on the kind of daily, it's actually looking quite interesting. Some pretty interesting moves are occurring here with the triangular wedge. So it's not the neatest, but it's definitely kind of still following that pattern. And again, this is happening in our kind of our fourth leg of those impulsive waves to the upside in the bigger kind of picture. So again, in line with our kind of expectations of what is going on, but again, still thinking about what happens after this are, of course, another 5 impulse waves. Okay, so we obviously have, on these kind of smaller timescales, we'd have basically a push to the upside, we'd pull back, maybe we're going to come back down to there, then we'll push back up, we'll have pull back for 4, and then again we push up to 5, right? So there's always 5 impulse waves that would follow these kind of corrective patterns, and specifically even if we are following this this Elliott wave triangle, which again, it's a bit early to say it is for sure. We'll have to see whether or not we push up in the next little step here to complete that ABC, and then obviously follow that with an ABC to complete the E pattern, and then obviously look for that next explosion to the upside. But overall, it's pretty interesting things that are going on. Now, if we actually take that chart data and then throw in our 𝗖𝗢𝗠𝗠𝗘𝗧𝗏 underlying data, the artificial intelligence and machine learning here, helping us to understand what's going on with the underlined data for MultiVAC. If you're not familiar with MTV, there's a link in the description down below. Do sign up. It's completely free, and you're going to be able to get a lot more insight about your cryptocurrencies. So here with MultiVAC, we have a B2 rating overall, right? Okay, so pretty neutral. It's not greedy, it's not fearful. Overall, right? It's an interesting kind of level to be. That actually it's a cryptocurrency that you might want to invest in, but also it has a few issues. So as we come on down, we can actually see that the fear and greed index for a rating of D is extremely fearful, right? So we've come down from that greedy situation, and we've pulled all the way down into extreme fear, which basically means people are willing to sell a MultiVAC right now rather than buy it, right? And again, we can see that narrative as we have this triangle pulling down over time, and obviously we're pushing up. So basically, we're setting a series of lower highs, and we're setting a series of lower or higher lows, right? So higher lows and lower highs, right? Basically consolidating down into a triangular wedge or a Elliott waves triangle, right? So the fear is obviously quite clear to see, but it's not 100% exactly what this fear and greed index is telling us. It's telling us that there's a sentiment out there of extreme fear, and that people are more than likely going to sell MultiVAC right now than to buy. Okay, but I think that's actually going to shift and change quite rapidly. And of course, when we actually take our Sharpe ratio into consideration, the Sharpe ratio is your risk-reward ratio. This is an A2 rating, and again, that A2 rating is indicating that the rewards outweigh the risks. So we have this artificial intelligence saying you might want to have some exposure to MultiVAC, but also be aware that it's extremely fearful. And if we're not in MultiVAC right now, this is actually an ideal opportunity. We have an extremely fearful area or fearful kind of sentiment for MultiVAC, yet we're actually saying that it might be worth actually buying up some MultiVAC with an A2 rating here on the Sharpe ratio. That risk-reward ratio is actually in your favor. Rewards outweigh the risks. You might want to buy some of that fear that is for sale on that fear and greed index. That's my interpretation of it. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, and advice.io are not offering financial advice also. So it's important that you do your own research and come up with your own conclusions. And part of that might be signing up to advice.io and using this data to help you understand what's actually going on in the background of your cryptocurrency. cryptocurrencies. As we come on down, we also have an 𝗕𝗎𝗇 ratio. This is an A2, and this basically is liquidity. There's no problems with liquidity for MultiVAC right now, so that's looking pretty good. As we come across, we have moving averages. They have been affected, obviously, with that triangular wedge forming here. We obviously have to understand that that is going to affect those moving averages. This is now at a C2, but again, I think this is a short-lived issue. As we move on down, we also have profitability as an ROI up at an A1 rating. Overall, not too bad at all. So everything's looking pretty good from a return on investment. We have very good liquidity. We've got a good risk-reward ratio. The only issue really is the sentiment and people willing to sell MultiVAC rather than buy MultiVAC, and of course those moving averages that have been affected by the recent trends. Overall, the chart's looking pretty good, and the underlying data is also looking good with it. As we come into our hourly view, we can obviously take a look and see exactly what's going on. Obviously, we also said we had that ABC correction, right? And what we're looking for is that push to the upside to complete that C wave. Now, as we take a look at this daily, this hourly chart, we can see that we are in the oversold area, looking to grow that stochastic to the upside. So when we actually have a look and we think about, okay, well, we need to be pushing up towards our so we have an AB, and we're looking to kind of complete our C wave just at the top here, and that we are looking to push our way up. And again, that is very clear from our hourly chart that we are also looking to push up. So we are looking to come up towards our D range. That would put us up towards 2.1 cent potentially. Basically, we are looking to be lower than this one here. Okay, so we're looking to be lower than 2 cent. So it might be that we actually push up to about 2.8, something like that. Okay, and this is just because we need to make sure that we have that triangular pattern still forming. Okay, so we don't want to invalidate this necessarily, but we do want to make sure that we don't push higher than our 2 cent area. Okay, so we're looking to kind of push up, maybe it's 1.8, 1.9 cent, before we then start to see an ABC to the downside to complete the E pattern. And once we actually complete that E, which would be down here, then we'll be looking for some good, some very good price appreciation and spikes to the upside overall. So right now, as we take a look at this being oversold, looking for growth towards about 1.8 to 1.9 cent. There's one last opportunity on this ABC to the downside to potentially get into a bit of a buy zone where we can accumulate a little bit more MultiVAC ahead of going to the upside. So overall, I feel there's like one last opportunity to go in lower than 1.6 cent, but not as low as we were previously, which came in at 1.3. So again, I think aiming for about 1.5 seems pretty reasonable. So again, we're just looking to kind of complete this A, this B, up to a C, and then we look to complete an A, B, and C, and then it's off to the races with new all-time highs, in my opinion. So ultimately, everything's looking very good for MultiVAC. It's easier to kind of see it on the daily, but obviously the hourly is pretty much in line with the expectations of what is going on here. And we could see a huge spike overall as we continue that growth to the upside for MultiVAC. Thinking about where price is likely to go, we obviously have some interesting zones of 7.2, 9.2, 30 cent, or even theoretically $1. All are very possible, but until we have a little bit more data in here to see exactly how things are going to play out, it's hard to say for sure. I am pretty confident that we're going to see at least 10 cent, but I do really want to see us kind of have a little bit more marketing, a little bit more progression to the upside, some exchange listings, etc., and that basically could see us move up nicely towards the 30 or even a $1 level. Guys, I'm going to leave the video there. If you have found it useful and informative, hit that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap that bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.